My lords, ladies and gentlemen, a very warm welcome back to Railway Empire 2 as we continue through the playthrough of the Railway Mania scenario based in the United Kingdom. Well, typically, or more accurately, England and Wales, as we don't have any access to Scotland or Northern Ireland. Now, we've made a pretty solid start so far. We're 67% of the way through the scenarios we can see. We have ticked off one of our optional tasks, which is to grow London to 120,000 citizens, and that's also hit one of the 3 cities we need for the second optional task of having 3 cities with 100,000 citizens or more in the network, so one of them is taken care of. In terms of our more immediate pressing goals, we have to buy 4 private routes. We have one of those already purchased. We need to have 80% of travellers take the train from Carlisle to Plymouth, and we need to deliver 4 loads of liquor into London. Now, if we remember, and it's been a couple of days since I played, so I'm reminding myself more than anything, I do believe, yes, there is a liquor industry in London already, so achieving that one might be a little bit difficult because there's not going to be much demand to transport liquor into London if London is producing liquor itself. Now, one thing we could do to try and game the system and get around that is this warehouse we have up in Wensley Terminal. We could set this warehouse to accept the arrival or accept the delivery of liquor, and then basically have the liquor shipped back to London. That might work. I think it's worthwhile testing it out anyway. So the train from Wensley Terminal to London, which is this one right here, the fruit and veg train to London. Let's just make sure we're not setting it to leave London empty. Let's have a look here. No, it can pick stuff up if it needs to. Okay, so I think now we're at a point where we'll just start the game going and we'll keep it at high speed. York is continuing to grow. That's up to 50,000 citizens. Manchester's not almost at 50, as is Liverpool, although there's no growth at the moment in Liverpool. Libraries would be more than welcome, so we could probably think to put a library in York if we haven't done so already. Yes, we already have. As I said, it's been a couple of days since I played, so I may be forgetting some of the steps that we'd already completed. You've broken down. You're the Sugar to Birmingham train. Well, we can't put a maintenance depot there because Birmingham already has the restaurant and the other building. I can't remember what it is. So we'll build a maintenance depot at the Sugar station, and that should take care of the maintenance for that train. No other breakdowns we need to worry about at the moment. So in terms of dates, we're in 1846 and we've got until 1851 to purchase these 4 private routes, which shouldn't be too much of a problem. They're a couple of £100,000 a piece. We will need to gain access into southwest England, of course, because one of the tasks is to have 80% of passengers taking the train from Carlisle down into Plymouth, so that's something we need to focus on as well. As we can see, access costs us 271,000, so we're not a million miles off. In terms of research, what do we want to get next? Maybe this one here for a reduction in auction costs. That's applied retrospectively, and that will take another 5% off any auction purchase price that we are shelling out. Right, so let's get ourselves access into southwest England now. That opens up Bristol and Plymouth. Also opens up this logging industry here, which we may want to utilise, dropping off logs into Birmingham, into London, and maybe even running a line all the way up into York as well, Manchester, and maybe even Liverpool. Why not? That'll help stimulate growth in all of those cities, which is going to help us get to those 3 cities with a population of 100,000. But for now, what we're going to focus on is getting a passenger line from Carlisle down into the city of Plymouth. So let's first of all build a station in Bristol, The reason being, of course, is we can't lay tracks through here unless it's going into Bristol itself. And rather than having the train line run around here and paying for a bridge and then coming up and over the top, I'd rather we just put the station in and we can pass straight through Bristol. We don't have to stop here. And we can head our way down into Plymouth from there. So we want a station in Plymouth as well. Now the spacing's a little tight here, so I think we'll have to, yes, this is rather tight, isn't it, trying to squeeze in this station in Plymouth. Seems no matter where we go, they're gonna say no to us, which is unfortunate. How much would it cost to buy this private line? 350,000. We could do that and then just use the station that will provide us, and then we can delete these other rail lines and these other stations for a bit of cash back. What do we have here? Breakdown. Well, yeah, you should be taken care of when you get to McGowan Station, and you were not too fussed about any more, although you are making us a bit of money, so we'll keep you in operation. But I think this was just part of one of the previous tasks we had to complete, ferrying passengers between Liverpool and Carlisle. It's probably worthwhile putting a maintenance building up here though. That's the wrong, here we go, Carlisle, that's ours. Construct extension, let's build a maintenance depot there. So Birmingham is still growing, that's now north of 50,000, so we can put a library in Birmingham, which is probably not a bad idea to keep that growth as stimulated as possible. York is also continuing to grow. Manchester and Liverpool, however, have stagnated a little. Well, they've not stagnated, they've just stopped expanding. So what are you not receiving then? Let's have a look. Logs is the big one, I think. Yeah, if we could get, in fact, could we run a line from Wensley Terminal into Manchester as well? What do we have running down here at the moment? Only the fruit and veg to York service comes down here. So if we could get a line into Liverpool and into Manchester from Wensley Terminal, that should help prompt some growth as well. What platforms do you want to use? I think we'll use these two, because while these are being used for the incoming fruit and incoming vegetables, they're only dropping off and then departing, so they shouldn't hold up our delivery trains or outbound delivery trains for too long. So let's see what we can do. Or we could come into a new set of platforms like this. Can we get a gridiron in? Yes, we can. So that gets both platforms open to us. And now let's see, new rail line then. Let's come from Wensley Terminal into Manchester Piccadilly. We don't want you to take liquor, and we don't want you to take grain. And let's make sure you're going onto platform number 5 so you're not getting anybody else's way. And minimum of 1, so you at least make some money, even if you're not turning a profit if you're only taking 1 wagon load. But yeah, let's do that. Let's just rename this as the fruit veg into Manchester service. Locomotive, they want their prompters to use the Rhine, which, 81,000, I suppose we may as well. So let's do that. And now let's do the same again from Wensley Terminal to Liverpool Lime Street. And you're going to pass through the sugar station. Now that could hold you up. So what we might do is put a little bypass stretch of track here between, say, this supply tower and somewhere over here, so we can bypass McGowan train station. We'll turn our attention to the task in a few moments' time. So from here, don't take liquor, don't take grain, come up platform 6, minimum of 1. Quick rename here, so fruit veg to Liverpool. And going to be the Rhine again, that's fine, 81,000, we can afford it. Now how much would it cost us to bypass McGowan station? Let's see. So if we come after the supply tower, in like that. That's 18,000. That could probably be a little bit straighter. And we can maybe even sort out that elevation there. Now that'll do. Yep, like that. So let's build that. And let's lay down parallel tracks so we can go both directions. There we go. So hopefully now that train will come down this way. Yes, it is. Perfect. Okay. Oh, bonus for new industry in Manchester. We can't afford that, so we don't need to worry about that. This task, the one that I was a little bit concerned about, has been fulfilled, so that's good to see. What next? Well, it's just keeping an eye on that city growth. I think getting some logs delivered into our various stations is probably, our various cities is probably a good idea. But I'd also like to get this passenger line up and running down into Plymouth as well at some point in the very near future. I think the best way we're going to handle that is, like I said, if we purchase the private line that currently exists down in Plymouth, down in Cornwall and Devon, we can use the station that already exists in Plymouth and then just sell the rest of the infrastructure. What else we got here? What's of any real value? I might get that just for the sake of it, to be honest, although I don't think it's going to give us any immediate advantage. And as we can see, look, Liverpool and Manchester are both now in growth. Can we yet afford a new industry over here? Let's have a look. We've got 230,000, so I doubt it, but we shall have a look. So you've got a meat industry already. I think giving you, what about a weaving mill, and we could bring in some wool from up here in Carlisle. What else? We've got the fashion industry, and then we could supply Carlisle, and Carlisle could come into Manchester. Sawmill, that would give us extra demand for these logs down here. Okay, I think we'll just hold off on that for now, and I'd rather use the money to purchase this private line. It's going to cost 350,000, but the upside to that is we'll get some cash back from selling the lines and these two stations, and we'll also be able to complete or make a start towards completing the objective of getting the passengers brought in from the city of Carlisle. And what we do, we already have a line coming down from Carlisle towards Liverpool, so just after this junction here is we'll build another junction with a line. What do we have here? 75 industry stocks. Very nice. Yeah, and then we'd come down here, run along the Welsh border, through the station at Bristol, and then through into Plymouth. And I think that should work okay for us. We're 350. I've forgotten what it was, so I had to remind myself there. Could we buy any of these others and sell them to free up some capital? I don't think we're going to make our... I don't think you tend to make your money back even when you sell the infrastructure. And we're nearly at 350,000 anyway. York has grown now up to 60,000 residents. Manchester's nearly up to 50, as is Liverpool, and we will put a library in both of those as soon as we're able. We've got the 350 now to purchase the South Devon Railway, so we shall do that. And then, like I said, we'll delete the tracks and these two stations here because we're probably not going to use them, but we will keep the Plymouth station standing. Let's go ahead and give this station a maintenance depot, and now we can look at running this line down from Carlisle. Let's just sink that line a little bit there just so we don't have too high of a gradient for our trains. Let's see. Okay, this terrain is quite elevated here, but I think if we snake our way around we should be okay. A bit of a tunnel there. Let's just raise it up. It's only a 1% gradient change, so we can comfortably incorporate that without taxing our locos too heavily. What about here? Well, we're going to have to drop down, and this is now going to give us a... Oh no, if we stretch it out... There we go, that's fine. So you come into that platform there at Bristol. 200,000 for this. A lot of earthworks we're paying for. The tracks themselves, they are relatively cheap. It is all the terrain modification we've had to do that is bumping the price up here, clearly. And I think, yep, what we'll do, we'll come out of Bristol, like I said, come along the Welsh border through what would be Shropshire and the likes, up into here, connecting just by Liverpool Lime Street, and then we can have a line that runs up to Carlisle, and then we can set that to a passenger only service, and that should encourage us to get that 80%. So 328,000 for the return leg. That's because it's given us a tunnel there, and of course we're also paying for the station platform. Well, I think what we'll do is, rather than do that, let's just delete that off. I think we'll send it down to single track as it passes through Bristol, and that'll save us paying out for the extra station platforms, and we'll also only keep the station at Plymouth to one platform as well. We're not going to have a whole host of trains running down here, so we don't need to worry about them getting in one another's way. Now, can we connect you in nicely up here? Yes, we can. Perhaps we just straighten you off. Oh no, we can't. We're too close to the Welsh border there. So that will work for me. So we'll parallel track between Bristol and Plymouth, but not as far as the stations. And then this will be parallel tracked all the way up to the connection point here outside of Liverpool. And that should be enough to get the trains running down here. We'll need to put some supply towers and the likes down, of course. That shouldn't be too much of a problem. So that's 163,000 we're looking for. So that one or two trains should be enough to fulfill this. Then we need to buy 2 more private routes. Given the state of affairs, I think we're probably going to struggle to achieve this task right here. So while we'll still get the CEO rating, we perhaps won't get as high a score as we possibly could have done, because I don't think we'll get this one completed before the end of the scenario. Just got a sneaking suspicion about that. Right, why have you not built? What's happened? Ah, okay, I see. So they've jumped in and built a line there, so we've got to have a bloody tunnel underneath it. Well, could we? Let's have you drop down. Let's have, well, why don't you just, there we go. We can sneak a tunnel underneath there. We don't want that bridge there. Let's get rid of that. That'll save some money. That's now 155,000, which we can afford. So the AI messed us up there by putting that train line directly where we wanted to build our own, but it shouldn't be too much of an issue. We'll just single track under there to save paying the extra for a tunnel. Can we squeeze in down here, or are you gonna get grumpy? No, we can squeeze in down here. And now if we bring this all the way in, we should be able to afford that. Yes, we can. Let's get the track direction signals set up from there. And, whoops, that's the wrong way. From there. Handful of supply towers will be needed on the way down. So let's pop one there. Let's pop one there, and maybe one up here as well. There we go. I might just keep this single tracked, you know, from Bristol to Plymouth, because I think the 2 trains, that's how many we're going to run, should keep themselves nicely enough spaced out that they're not tripping over each other as they get down towards Plymouth. So new line then. So we want to come from Carlisle. We want this to be an express service. Do we want to chuck on the dining and mail car? Why not? And we're coming all the way down into Plymouth. Locomotive Iron Duke, sure, why not? 134,000, so we can't afford it right now. While we wait, let's just have a look at the research screen. We may as well unlock that, although maybe we'll wait for the train at 300,000 research. Oh, sorry, three research stars. Yeah, 300 points, not 300,000. We'd have been waiting a while for that. So, back to city overview then. Nearly 70 in York, over 50 in both Liverpool and Manchester. So we will spend a bit of money that we're trying to save to get that train and put those libraries down, just to make sure we can keep this growth as accelerated as possible. Now we can't afford the library from Manchester, although now we can. There we go. Birmingham, what are you doing? You're up to 65. So I think between the 4 of these cities, 2 of them should tip up at 100, which will of course complete this objective right here. Okay, I forgot it doesn't store your line while you when you close the screen, so we have to set this up once again. I think maybe we'll go without the passenger, sorry, the dining car and the mail car, just to save ourselves a bit of money. See, that's took it down to only 94,000, which we can afford. So we'll start running one. We'll see how that performs, and then if needed, we can always add a little more, an extra train or 2 later on. We may find that just having the one is adequate. Yep, there we go. So we'll just leave him to run in the background. What's next? Buy 4 private routes. Well, can we perhaps manipulate the bond market here? So to pay you back, it's 896. So we'd make about 400,000 doing this, so I think that's worthwhile. There we go, and that should be enough to buy at least 1 private route. 500 for the Bure Valley Railway, which you can't afford. What about you there? 450 for the Brighton and Hastings. 400 for the Isle of Wight Steam Railway. And then the other one, we have one here as well. Let's have a look. 350 for that one. And 350 for that one. That one we cannot afford because we don't have the concession rights in Wales. So I think we'll buy, let's see, I think we'll get more money from this one because of the length of the track. So we'll buy that one. And then we'll do what we've been doing so far and demolish all the infrastructure, including the stations. Like so. There we go. So that's given us 350. So now we can do that one. And that has ticked off that objective. And again, we'll get a little bit of money back by demolishing the infrastructure. I think what we'll find we can also do now is double track this little service, this little line that we have, and we won't need the tunnel anymore. So let's get rid of that tunnel, and we should now be able to parallel track the whole of this, so we have a slightly more efficient service up towards the city of York. There we go. That should keep things flowing a little bit more smoothly. I think what we might start doing now as well is looking at purchasing some of the rural industries. Wensley Farm, for instance, only 81,000. We know it's being used because we are the one using it. We could also get Edwards Farm. No, we can't. Bradley Estate, no. What about Higgins Farm down here? Yeah, we can buy that, and that's being served by both us and a competitor, and it's got pretty decent utilisation. And of course we did pick up, in fact we will pick up this one now to boost the annual business profits from rural industries, so that's going to help our company value. Let's have a look at our task list. I'm going to say, looking at, we're 84%, so I dare say these are our last set of tasks, and the fact that the closing date for these two coincides with the optional tasks tends to point towards that being the case as well. So by the Chester and Holyhead Railway, that's the one up here in North Wales, a balance of 350 per week. We're currently at 122, and connect 13 cities to our network. Well, that's quite that. In fact, that's quite good, because this one we are in complete control of, and it's a very straightforward thing to achieve. That's a good task to have, because it means we can focus on trying to boost our company value, so we can get this ticked off. And if we can get this ticked off in good order, we'll have plenty of time, hopefully, left to connect into the final city, and we can even get the train station set up, and we can get the rail almost up to the station, and then when we're ready to complete the scenario, ideally with this task done, we can then just join the track to the station, and then we'll be all finished. So I think that's the plan we will go for. So we need concession into Wales, which is 400,000. Is there any other cities we are not yet connected to apart from the 2 in Wales? Yes, there is Cambridge. So we would need to come into Cambridge as well. I may also buy this Wensley farm. Oh, there's also an auction underway. Can't have 2 at the same time. You used to be able to, although one would fire immediately afterwards. So we'll buy that for just a small price of 87,000. Of course, we'll also have a reduction. So we've only paid 74,000 for that. And that'll give us some background income along with this, this farm down here. May also pick up Douglas logging if it's within reason, because I do plan on using this to get logs into cities such as Birmingham, Manchester, Liverpool, and of course London. So that's fine. So I think we will do that because we can make some money off of this fella. 397 isn't too bad at all. Birmingham stopped growing, unfortunately. I guess that's because they now need logs because of the planks industry, or the sawmill that the AI has produced for us in Birmingham. So getting those logs into Birmingham is definitely a necessity, and I think we'll buy the industry first of all, because if we start taking logs from there, it's likely to drive up the utilisation and by extension the purchase price of the industry. So we'll do that after we've purchased the industry. Thankfully, York, Manchester and Liverpool all continue to grow, and as you can see, Manchester and Liverpool are also still waiting for another industry, although Liverpool has just put down a liquor industry there, which is fine. We are supplying them with fruit and sugar, so at least I believe we're taking sugar into Liverpool. Yes, we are. So yep, that's fine. We can supply that industry. We already are supplying that industry, so that's not a problem. So what do you want to do first? I think we'll buy the logging industry first of all at 375. Again, bear in mind we will pay 15% less. There we go, we only paid 319. And now we will set up a line from here to Birmingham, and we'll also go from here into London. And perhaps if we can get some more direct services or some more direct rails, we'll also go from here into Manchester and Liverpool. Manchester now has a furniture industry, so you need planks. Well, that's good because you synergize with Birmingham, so that makes it all the more vital that we start supplying logs into Birmingham as soon as we can. So let's make a start on that, shall we? We'll go Birmingham first of all. It makes sense. They need the logs more than London because of that industry. We could sweep all the way around here and into Birmingham, but I think at this point we're just as well going through, having that bridge over the, what river would that be? I guess it would be the Thames. Didn't know the Thames sourced all the way at the Welsh border. So yeah, 200,000 for the rail line, which is not too bad. We're not too far off that. And yeah, we'll double track it, of course, but we won't double track it into another platform in Birmingham. We'll just join in parallel, perhaps at this corner here, and we'll join in just before the station. Depending on how much it costs to double track over the bridge, we might even run single over the bridge and then have it re-parallel after the bridge. So how much would it cost? It's only 9,000, that's negligible. I think we're just as well going straight in, aren't we? So let's see, can we get you in? Yes, we can. 90,000, a lot cheaper than the initial track we had to lay, so that's all nice and pleasing. We will need a maintenance station at Douglas Station because we can't put one in at Birmingham because we already have the 2 railway expansion slots occupied. But for now, let's worry about getting the signals in. We'd want a supply tower. I think just one's going to be enough for this route. And how much is it? 27,000. So we'll just hang about for a moment. Shouldn't take us too long to get that money. And then we'll get the train up and running. We've now gone negative, and there we go. That's better. We've had some income drop in. 119,000 per week, so we're still some way off the 300. So let's get this up and running. Let's have you leave with a minimum of 2, I think. Obviously you're going to be on platform 1, there's no doubt about that, nothing else you can do. You are going to be freight only, and this will be logs to Birmingham. There we go. I think just one train will be enough. G&M American, so we're going for the cheaper train this time, which is fine. We're not going that far, so I suppose it doesn't really matter. And it's only 56,000, which should give us enough to put down that maintenance depot in Douglas Station. There we go. And I think that's where we'll end today's episode then, ladies and gentlemen. We're now in the, what I assume to be the home stretch, and the way these tasks have fallen, I think we're in hopefully be a decent shot at achieving this task as well. We're over a third of the way there, and I think if we keep picking up some rural industries, they're going to help boost our company value, and perhaps even picking up some of the inner city industries as well to give us an extra boost. I'm going to go ahead and see, before we do anything else, can we buy out our competitors in this scenario? Nope. So that isn't unlocked at all, so there's no way for us to purchase or pick up all of our competitors and scrap them, unfortunately, so they're going to have to live with their shenanigans for the rest of the scenario, although I don't think there's much more expansion that we really need to do. Yeah, we need to get into Cambridge and of course Holyhead and Swansea, maybe a few other local industries as well, but I think what we might focus on doing is optimizing some of our routes. For example, this train here that runs up into York from, is it Wensley Terminal? Yes, it is. We might put an extra bypass here, so we cut out all of this, because I imagine this is quite busy, because of course we have the trains come up to Manchester and the likes, so having a bit more direct route there might be a nice idea. What we could also do is get a line into Birmingham from Wensley Terminal as well. Also like to pick up this vegetable farm and this fruit farm, because we're making good use out of them. May also go for this wool industry here, because of course Carlisle has a textile mill, and we could make money off of that. It's only a short route as well. We might even pick up the textile industry, and if we do that, I'd purchase that before we set up the wool supply, because that means we're not supplying it as well as we possibly could do. So again, the purchase price should be somewhat suppressed in theory. But enough about that. What I'll do now is I'll quickly save the game, because of course there's no way to pause the date progression while we have a cab ride, and we don't want to miss anything during said cab ride. And I think what we will go on is this train here up to the city of Carlisle. That's pretty much as long a trip as we can do on this map, so I think that is exactly what we'll do. So I'll just save it now, and as we're about to depart the city of Plymouth, we'll pick it back up for the cab ride. Okay, ladies and gentlemen, we're just departing the station at Carlisle for our north-south trip. Sorry, at Plymouth for our north-south trip to Carlisle. So I hope you've enjoyed this episode, and you are continuing to enjoy this playthrough on Railway Empire 2 on a whole. There is another game I'm thinking of doing a series on, so keep an eye out for that. It is another railway related game, so hopefully it should whet your appetites and whatnot. As always at this point, a very special thank you to my Patreon supporters. Your generosity is absolutely fantastic, and it does mean the world to me. So thank you very much indeed from the bottom of my heart for that. But for now, ladies and gentlemen, as we pass through Bristol, which I guess we could call it Bristol Parkway or Bristol Temple Meads, all that remains for me to say is, as always, take very good care of yourselves. It's ta-ta for now.